So we're continuing to make our way through the Ontario Hockey League with the off-season in play, recapping how a season went and how the teams are preparing for the next year. And right now we're making our way through the teams that made it as far as the second round. And today, let's take a look at the Brantford Bulldogs. They ended up winning the East Division title. It was a great race down the stretch. Brantford, Oshawa, Kingston all neck and neck, but it would be the Bulldogs who would end up taking top spot in the Eastern Conference standings when it was all said and done. But their run cut short by their rivals, the Oshawa Generals, in 6 games. But their 2024-25 record, pretty solid, 44-19-5, good for 93 points. And this is a team that was being led up front by Nick Lardis, who, of course, reached over 70 goals this season, something we haven't seen since John Tavares reached that mark about almost 20 years ago. So what a run it was for Brantford. And this is a team that's been a model franchise since they arrived from Belleville. Last season in 23-24, they finished with 85 points, but only managed the first round. They were knocked out by the Ottawa 67s. And then in 22-23, that was their last season in Hamilton. They finished with 71 points, and that's the low point over these last 4 seasons. And that was a season where they were knocked out in the first round by the Barrie Colts. And then you go back to the 21-22 season. They had 107 points. They finished first in the Ontario Hockey League and ended up winning the OHL championship over the Windsor Spitfires. So this is a team that's had quite a bit of success, and it's carrying over into their time here in Brantford. Now, the top scorers from the playoffs, no surprise seeing Nick Lardis leading the way. 11 goals, 4 assists, 15 points. Patrick Thomas, second in scoring with 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points. Merrick Van Acker, he was third in playoff scoring, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. Jake O'Brien, fourth with 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points. Cole Brown, he was fifth with 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. Calvin Crombie, he had a great playoff, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. Noah Nelson, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. Eighth in scoring, Owen Protz, a goal and 5 assists for 6 points. Thomas Hamara, he had 6 assists for 6 points. And Thomas Budnick, who they acquired from the Guelph Storm, what a pickup he was at the overage trade deadline, a goal and 4 assists, 5 points. And you have to feel for the Brantford Bulldogs is they look like they were destined to make a deep run in the playoffs this year, but Nick Lardis going down with injury in game 2 of the series against the Oshawa Generals, and that was the turning point as Oshawa would take over. But, this team, I think, they should be in a good spot going into next season. They do have quite a few players who are returning, although replacing Nick Lardis is not going to be an easy task. But they did draft a forward in the first round. David Buckman, 20th overall, 10 goals, 38 assists, 48 points in 31 games of work. Played for the Ottawa Valley Titans last season. So you expect him to be in the lineup. I think it might take him a little bit to get going and to see how he does at the OHL level. But with Jay McKee behind the bench and his coaching staff, they've shown they can do a great job with the young up-and-coming talent. Like, look at Jake O'Brien, for instance, right now projected to be a first-round pick in the upcoming NHL draft. Just goes to show that the talent is there, and Jay McKee and company have a great way of developing those players and helping them along the way. And I expect the same for Buckman when he does join the Brantford Bulldogs next season, although he has not yet signed his commitment. But I feel as though it's just a matter of time, maybe closer to the end of the summer is when we see that commitment signed. Now, they only have a handful of 2005-born overage candidates going into next season, but all of them are pretty solid players. We'll start with the forwards. Noah Nelson, Calvin Crombie, those two eligible to return as overagers. They'd be solid with the Brantford Bulldogs or even with another team that's seeking some OA candidates, as you're only allowed to dress 3 overagers during the regular season. You can have more than that on your roster up until the overage trade deadline, but it's going to be some tough decisions here for the Brantford Bulldogs. Nick Lardis, he's also 2005 born. He's a Chicago Blackhawks prospect. He's already signed with the Blackhawks. I do expect him to be joining the Chicago system, as he showed last season that he's ready to move on to the next level, putting up over 70 goals in the season. Really a key factor for that team, having that charge to the top of the East Division standings. And then it was just too bad seeing him go down with injury in the second round of the playoffs. Also up front, you have Braden O'Keefe. He's a good candidate. And then Cole Brown. He's 2005 born. He's a New Jersey Devils prospect, but he is committed to Notre Dame. So it looks like he'll be going the NCAA route. So out of the forwards, Nelson, Crombie, O'Keefe, all solid. But then also factor in Lucas Moore on the blue line. He's a 2005 born defenseman. So that's four quality players to choose from here for the Brantford Bulldogs. So we'll have to wait and see who they decide to go with in the overage category. But, I think the big thing right now for the Bulldogs has been the change of ownership. Michael Andlauer, of course, selling the team to the Hyman family, which has been it's going to be a big change as Michael Andlauer did a lot for this group. And now the Hyman's looking to continue that. And like I said earlier, they have been a model franchise since the relocation in 2015 from Belleville to Hamilton when they adopted the Bulldogs name. 2 OHL championships in 2015 and 2022, and they've been competitive. They've in their down seasons, they still make the playoffs and make things interesting. Thinking back to when they played the Barrie Colts 2 years ago, it was not an easy out for the Barrie Colts to advance to the second round as Hamilton gave everything they could in that series. This has been such a great group to follow. The only thing is, with the sale, Spencer Hyman has now taken over as general manager. So there's some fans who are a little concerned about the change as Matt Turek, an outstanding general manager. He did a great job building the team to where it is today. He's obviously moved on to join the Belleville Senators in the American Hockey League. So yes, I think some of those questions are warranted, especially with what we've seen happen with the Niagara Ice Dogs in recent memory when Darren Dedobler took over the ownership and made himself GM of the Ice Dogs. And if you haven't been following the Niagara situation, I've got a few videos talking about where we are today on that front. So my thinking is, if it ain't broke, why fix it? As the Bulldogs have had recent success, they seem to be building a great thing with Brantford. They've got the new arena plan that was approved during the 2024-25 regular season. So we'll see what happens. But on the other hand, maybe everything will work out okay. Hyman's been involved with hockey in the past with different levels, and maybe he can build a group around him, a leadership group that can help direct this organization to further success. And then these questions will fade away, or you would think they'd fade away. But that is the big thing right now. But right now, I do like the goaltending tandem that the Brantford Bulldogs have going into next season. Ryerson Leanders and David Igorov, both solid in net, unless they decide to move one of those two goaltenders to maybe bring in some younger talents up front or on the blue line, and then just rely on one goaltender. We saw that last year at the Brampton Steelheads with Jack Ivankovic and Ryerson Leanders. That's why he ended up moving to Brantford at the start of the season to give Ivankovic the net. So it's going to be an interesting situation here. Do you move one of Leanders or Igorov, or do you do a 1A, 1B situation? I think they're in a great spot with their goaltending, and we'll see how this roster plays out afterwards. I do find that if they can figure out how to replace the scoring of Nick Lardis, this team should be competitive in the East Division. I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the teams challenging again for top spot in the division. But time will tell. We'll see what kind of moves Spencer Hyman makes as GM. They've got to make the decision on the overagers, but still, they don't have to make that decision right away. So we'll see what happens here with the Brantford Bulldogs. I like the look of this group. It's just the off-ice questions with what direction is this team going to go in. So if you're a fan of the Bulldogs, what is it that you're looking forward to most going into next season? Are you concerned about the direction of this team, or do you have the full confidence in the ownership and management of this team? Love to see the interactions. Thank you very much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.